Welcome back to the Forgotten Room. Today for part 2, we're taking a bold step. Gonna put actual paint on these walls. Revolutionary, I know. We're also gonna create the focal point wall, so get ready. There will be paint, there will be questionable decisions, and there will absolutely be a moment where I question every life choice that led me here. But by the end of this, I hope to have something that made it all worthwhile. Good morning, friends, and welcome back to part 2 of my mini makeover series, The Forgotten Room. Today's the day the room gets a pulse, it's the day the energy shifts, and it's the day the vision starts to come together. I have been staring at these god-awful brown walls for years, thinking about how I want this room to look and feel, and today's the day I'm finally going to commit to it. But before we can get to the fun part of the color, I still have a little bit of work that I need to do. I need to clean up this whole room one more time after sanding all of the walls the other day. I have messes on all the surfaces and I want to start with a totally clean slate, so I'm going to get all that cleaned up. I'm also going to vacuum and steam my floors clean. And while I'm tackling those mundane tasks, I think it's a perfect time to talk about today's sponsor, Craftsy. I want to share an amazing website that I am obsessed with. Craftsy.com. For me, Craftsy feels like stepping into a well-loved workspace. The kind where every shelf holds a new idea, every drawer hides a new technique waiting to be discovered, and inspiration waits for you around every corner. Only instead of tools and paints and other types of supplies, Craftsy is stocked with knowledge, skills, and endless possibilities. It's an online space where each class brings you a little bit of inspiration that you can bring into your home, your work, or just your life in general. I'm constantly weaving creativity into the everyday, whether it's home or work, and Craftsy supports both sides of my world. Craftsy feels like you're continuing your education, only without any pressure. You can go at your own pace. When life gets too busy for you to watch those videos you want, you just save them for later, and when you have that moment, jump right back into it. It's almost like you have your own personal tutor just waiting for you to be ready for your lesson. I've always wanted to up my watercolor game, so for me it was a no-brainer when it came to the first thing I wanted to learn. I love that you can look it up by category or by instructor, and since I had no idea where to start, I started with the category of painting, which led me to the most amazing video called Landscape Watercolor on Toned Paper, and it's taught by Stuart Lockridge, and it was just exactly what I needed to get me going. I can't wait to learn more. What I love most is how that naturally fits into my life. There's no schedule I have to keep up with. I can just learn at my own pace and as I go. And the variety is absolutely incredible. There's over 2,000 classes for you to explore and learn from. Whether you want to hone in on a skill you already have or learn something new like me with watercolors, Craftsy's got you covered. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative. Now, if all of this isn't tempting enough, Craftsy has an exclusive offer for the viewers watching this video. The first 1,000 people watching this video that click on the QR code that's been on the screen or uses the link below in the video description will get a 1-year premium Craftsy membership for $1.49. That is insane. You can't even buy a cup of coffee for $1.49, but Craftsy's giving you a 1-year premium membership for that price. How amazing is that? The only catch is this offer is for new members only. So if you're building a creative life piece by piece in your home, in your studio, or somewhere in between, Craftsy is absolutely worth exploring. It's where curiosity becomes skill, inspiration becomes action, and where every class adds another creative layer to the life you're creating. Check out Craftsy for yourself, either using the QR code or the link in the description below. And I would like to thank Craftsy for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Let me tell you, Craftsy has come in so handy for me already, and at this special price, it'll come in handy for you too. Everything's been cleaned, everything's been steamed, and now it's time for the wall color. Right now, this room is just a deeper, darker shade of craptastic brown, and the natural light in this room isn't optimal or even Pinterest worthy for that matter. It's really awful lighting. There are no windows in the front of the house in the front of my bedroom. And because of that, the room always feels heavier and gloomier than I want it to. So that's why I decided to use my tried and true go-to wall color, Benjamin Moore White Dove. You cannot beat the quality of this paint, and even when you're doing a room on a budget, you have to know where to put a little bit of your money towards when you're saving so much in other areas. Because I'm thrifting my way through the majority of this project, I can focus and concentrate my budget where it counts and matters on things like paint, for example. I want a top quality paint, and with Benjamin Moore, I know I'm getting that. Now, this shade, like I said, can be found throughout my entire home. It is my go-to favorite shade of white out there. It's bright without feeling stark, it's soft without feeling flat, and it instantly lifts the mood of the room by removing that heavy vibe that it currently has. Now, choosing a lighter wall color, I know you're all like, this is so boring, but I promise you, stay with me, it's going to get real good real soon. By choosing this lighter color, this gives me the freedom to bring in the drama in color through my accents. With my textiles, my art, my tchotchkes, all of those layers that are gonna make this space feel intentional and collected and inviting. In other words, this is the foundation for the entire room. It's clean, it's calm, it's bright, and once these walls are transformed, we're gonna really be able to start the transformation and start building our story on top of those layers. But first, we've got to paint. Now notice the technique I have. Confident and determined, and only slightly fueled by the memory of how long my last makeover took. Each stroke represents both progress and denial about the second coat that I know awaits me. I, as the painter here, have entered what experts call the "I've got this" phase, and let me assure you this phase is temporary. It's often followed by the discovery of a missed spot directly behind the dresser you've already put back, or the realization that the ceiling line is in fact not straight. Still, I persist. I'm driven by the vision, and by caffeine, and by the promise that Dove White will eventually transform this dimly lit cave into something resembling a sanctuary. And although the process is slow and progress is undeniably daunting, against all odds and despite gravity, fatigue, hunger, and the occasional drip running dramatically down the wall, this room is changing. It's day 2, and here we are with the comeback tour I didn't ask for, but apparently I'm headlining in it, because coat 2 has to get on. I woke up this morning like, oh right, this is still happening? Thought it was a dream. I feel like I ran a marathon yesterday, except the only thing I actually ran was out of energy. Coat 2 is powered entirely by coffee and the determination to be done with this task completely. The second coat is where the room finally gives in. Yesterday it was patchy and moody and holding on to its past life for dear life. But today it's like the walls finally get the memo. Everything looks smoother and brighter and way more intentional. This is the moment the room stops looking like it's in progress and starts looking like a whole new space. It's starting to look like I actually know what I'm doing. Imagine that. So for the focal wall, I decided to use this faux shiplap paneling that we found at Lowe's. It gives me the look I want without the price tag or the headache of installing individual boards. Trust me, my entire ceiling in my studio is tug and groove, and although beautiful, it was very expensive and it was a pain in the butt. Once I had the panels sanded down smooth, it was time to get the primer on. I'm going to use my gray primer for this, and I will be using a brush to apply it in the groove, and then I'm going to use my mini roller on the rest of it. The gray primer is crucial for the color that I've chosen for the focal point wall. It's definitely a beautiful jewel tone color, and by using a gray primer, it's going to let that color really pop and shine, and the deepness of it's going to show through. I almost called it a night without applying a coat of paint to this 2.5-inch strip of basic trim that I have. This is going to go on the focal wall, and I need to get a couple coats of my Benjamin Moore White Dove on there. And for those wondering, where is she working right now? This is our old shop. We have a lot of commercial buildings on the property. This one, as you can see, has an auto lift behind me, which comes in super handy. And right now it's empty, and it's perfect for me to paint in. To start this beautiful day off, we're out in my studio and we are going to work on some thrift flip glam ups, if you will, including this hamper right here. This is a vintage hamper. I've had it for 3 years now. I bought it at a yard sale for $5 and it's really bland and boring, but I have an idea and a plan. I want to strip the old finish off the top and give it a new coat of stain and sealer. Once the stripper worked its magic and got all the old finish off of there, I used my acetone and my double yacht steel wool, went back over that, just really gently scrubbing off the old finish, and this is a very effective technique. It takes a lot off. And for those wondering what double yacht steel wool is, it's just steel wool with 4 zeros. It's the finest grain that you can get, and it works amazing for things like this without damaging the wood at all. So I got it all off with the acetone, and then off camera I actually sanded it down. I just wanted to make sure I was really starting with a clean slate and getting all of that old finish off. So a gentle sanding did that with a 120 grit, and then I just finished that up with a 220 to make the piece as smooth as butter. Buttuh. Butter. I'm using my Minwax gel stain in the shade of walnut, and because there's no red undertones on this wood, it's giving me a true, rich, beautiful, gorgeous brown shade, and that's going to complement the body so well. Speaking of the body, let's discuss that, shall we? For the body, I want it to have a complementing color to my blue and white inspiration room, and the color that you're going to see a lot throughout the room is going to be green, like sage green, moss green, even olive green. And because there's a method to my madness, I'm going to use my silk paint in cactus. I love that shade, and this will all make sense in just a bit. Now, because this project is for me and it's a budget-friendly one, I'm not going to use primer. Silk is an all-in-one, and even though I don't believe in an all-in-one when I'm doing my work, I'm going to believe in it today because I'm really tired and I need to be done with all of these things. So we're just going to apply it on. I wanted to change the knobs on the front into something a bit more intentional, but these are not regular knobs and I cannot figure out how to get the screws off, so we're going to keep exactly what we have and it's all going to be fine. This is going to make such a huge change on this hamper. It's going to be like comparing apples and airplanes. It's going to look nothing like it did when it started. I also decided to glam up my old Mount Pleasant Dairy milk can. Now, I didn't hate the patina that it had, but it wasn't going to go with the vision I see for the room going forward. I decided copper was going to be the way to go. Did that with a base coat of brown and then just went over that with a spray of copper, and it really looks different and fabulous. Simple but elegant, understated but makes a lasting impression. That was the goal and I think I nailed it. The last thing I want to do out here is get the cornices finished and ready for installation. To finish them off, I'm just going to gently sand them back, distressing them for that vintage vibe that I crave. Not too much, just a little bit, just enough so that you could see it. And then I'm going to use a little rub and buff on the appliques to make them pop, but in a subtle way. And I have to say, it wasn't subtle and it wasn't right, and I went with this coppery color that I thought would look really good, and now that it's on there, I absolutely despise it. I'm going to end up painting them white again and just covering them up once they're installed. I need to see it installed to know I hate it, even though I know I hate it now. You know what I mean? Time to get back to this project, and it's time to get some color on those panels, which means it's time to share with you the amazing color I chose for my focal wall. I took lots of samples. I knew I wanted something to be deep and dark and almost moody, but not too deep and dark and moody because I'm trying to come away from that. But at the same time, with those white walls, I knew I could push the envelope a little bit, and I chose a color that I think is going to be absolutely perfect. I'm excited to share with you the color I chose, which happens to be a Sherwin-Williams color, and it's called Indigo Batik. I applied the color the same way I did the primer, with a brush and a roller, using a brush to get in the grooves and then a roller to go on. It definitely took 3 coats on here. I wanted to make sure I got that deep, beautiful jewel tone that this blue gives. I love the depth and the tone this has. I was a little nervous when I got it that it was going to be too dark, and I was still a little nervous putting it on, but I'm telling you, this turned out to be the absolute perfect blue possible, and I am so happy with the choice. Once this is cured, we're ready to put it up, and I can't wait to see that. That's when you're going to see a real visual impact. That's the moment I've been waiting for. The last thing we're going to do for part 2 is get this focal wall up. Now, we pre-measured the wall so that we could cut everything outside and avoid recreating the Great Dust Storm of 1935. Highly recommend, zero regrets.
That's my credo. No regrets.
You have no regrets?
No.
Like not even a single letter?
No way. Not me.
This is where the focal wall finally starts to take shape. I start by making sure the first panel is perfectly level. Use a level, people. I can't stress that enough. Just trust me. This sets the tone for the whole wall, so take your time here and make sure it's visually straight. Once it's level, then we commit. Using my nail gun and 1.5-inch nails, I'm just gonna start putting them randomly all over the board and pray to God some of them hit a stud. This room is already so different. I cannot even believe it's the same room we started with. I think we're going to end part 2 here. We've gotten so much done today, and quite frankly, I'm really tired. And when we come back for part 3, we are going to have just a couple quick projects to get together, and then we can finish the room off with the layers that are really going to bring it all to life. And when all that's said and done, instead of all of these little peeks and taunts I've been sharing with you, we're finally going to see the entire reveal, and what a reveal it's going to be. So, be sure to stay tuned, and until then, stay grounded, stay glowing, and always stay in your element. See you next time. Bye, guys.